Good morning. So I made a few little tweaks and changes and whatnot, and believe I kind of roughly have this where it needs to be. General idea, like I mentioned in the test thing, is, well, if you've got any AC in the series, you're thinking, well, this might be, I always kind of wondered if this guy would fight this other guy. So, like, for example, Lurker here is Silver Fox's AC against Kaiser. That was one of the ones I was going to do. But, well, the first one was the, first and only request I've gotten so far, in case there's any interest in this. But, Udder versus Infinity. So this is a ProCow's thing right here. Follow it over on TBM's video to get a rough sketch of what this thing is supposed to look like. But yeah, so Beetle, it's got pretty high defenses, especially against Shell here. Pretty much based around the orbit arms, and then it's got rockets for longer range. And it's actually surprisingly solid for what it is. Inside parts are for sight, for extra defense, and the energy trio. I added in, there was one extra slot left, so I just added in extra radar range. When it comes to Formula Front, the radar just kind of functions as their detection radius. And sometimes it gets a little bit funky if you don't have a radar. That's why most of them actually have one in this. I set it up like this. Mostly it's set up to try and go for long range and just defensive maneuvers. Performance-wise, I have it mostly set up to, well, you need a high weapon so that it actually figures out how to do stuff properly. Defense, so that it actually can evade things. And terrain, so it doesn't shoot into walls as often. It is what it is. I figured AC control and enemy analysis could kind of sit back a little bit. It didn't exactly seem necessary, since this one's mostly an artillery kind of build. So have it, these are the operations for it. So at first it's supposed to just jump back, and then it's supposed to strafe back, then it's just supposed to unload everything if it gets up to a minute in, and then after that it's probably got an AP lead, so it probably wants to try and hide behind stuff. So it'll just run for cover at that point, because its ammo is not terribly high. Usually after a minute it's pretty low, so it's just basically gonna peek out and take shots after about a minute. Now, for Mobius here, he's set up to be a bit more aggressive. As far as his stuff goes, pretty much exactly as he is. They all like to use this FCS over in Silent Line, so he's the only one that actually gets it out of this roster. But they're all pretty close at any given rate. Yeah, got pretty middle of the line internals for him. Probably even give him something a little bit better, all things considered. But it doesn't have a whole lot of weight to work with. Decoys, extensions, this usual stuff that he gets. Optional-wise, he's got the defenses, stability, because he never seems to get staggered. Higher generator, because he never seems to run out. Cancellation pulses, because, well, he has that. Sight range, and blade, because, well, of course, he friggin' loves that thing. So now, as far as his AI goes, he's pretty much the opposite. He's kind of, well, not even directly an opposite, but he's kind of mid-range. Have him set up to pretty much switch stuff at random. Mostly dashes, likes to jump around, likes to attack from the air. Doesn't do a whole lot of ground running, and then just kind of alternates between, attacking and defending himself. And then over here, he's pretty much set up to do his usual Mobius-y stuff. So this is about as close as I could get him. I'm pretty sure there's some more stuff to be done there. I mean, obviously you can't really get OPI here, at least not as far as I'm aware. As close as he could be. So he starts off backing away, stays in range, generally just offloads at a little bit of a medium distance. Then he goes for flanks, and then he does his usual stuff, going all crazy with the slashiness. But yeah, there we go. So that's Infinity for you. So I guess might as well just let these two fight it out. And given previous tests and everything else, I'm fairly confident that Udder's going to be the winner here. I'll set him up as the standard. Actually, no, I have to set him up in part 2 so that I can just restart it. Sorry, still getting a little bit used to this. And since apparently it's not actually loading the one it says it's loading until you select it, just do that. Do this. Do one of them dealies. And we're gonna have them fight in a range because you know what? Cows need their grass. So, gonna drop a save state here just in case it goes a little bit strange and decides that it wants to reload all this stuff. Actually, scratch that. We will start... That's fine, whatever. We'll just run it as it is. Figure out ideal times for save later. Alright, so just on a pretty range. He's pretty good about his decoys. Maybe turn down that volume just a tad. There we go. Because that is super loud. And so far, so even. Seems like Mobius is doing a good job at dodging, but he's gotten himself into charging right now. It's kind of the unfortunate thing. You teach them to be defensive, and their immediate thought is, I'm gonna completely drain myself and be a sitting duck. Luckily, though, when it comes to the AI in this, if you have their energy set up pretty decently high, they'll actually recharge pretty quickly. Like if I pull this up, you can see it takes them like maybe 20 seconds to recharge it. If even that, maybe even closer to 10. But the AI has a hard time aiming at ground targets, so it kind of balances that itself a little bit in a bit of an awkward manner. And he's lost him. What are you doing? I'm right here. I believe the cow might be a little bit low on energy here. He's only firing one pod. Oh, there we go. Now it's over. The cow jaws of death come out. Man, that is so freaking satisfying to watch, though. Love those orbit arms. He's trying, but he's dead now. And I'll probably be changing that emblem to be something more along the lines of like a red corner and a blue corner. So no replay, but give it a retry. And unless there's fights that are super close, I'm probably gonna end up doing like best 2 rounds out of 3. If it's like the intro brothers from last time, I'm probably gonna go and make that a 4 out of 5. I was thinking in some cases it might make sense to just do manual control for some of these. There are some cases where they flat out are unable to use certain weapons and whatnot, but deal with that dirt and dog turd as we come to it. And yeah, I got all kinds of different options for different camera angles and stuff. Pretty fun. You know what the sad part is? As far as him running out of energy goes, this is kind of on the low end of how bad he used to be about it before. But AI's charging are pretty common in this. Especially when he decides that he wants to fly. Boy. Like I said, not really able to hit ground targets. Dang, that thing is brutal. And yeah, so I'm not going to be overriding any of these rosters. I'm just going to be adding them in and making new ones as they come in. If there's, you know, stuff I get curious about or, you know, suggestions are made. And we'll see how that all works out. I guess if anyone wants to have their thing fight the Siege Udder, it's in here now. He's trying so hard, but he just can't escape the orbits. Like, literally any other weapon he'd be doing fantastic, but he just can't escape those orbits. He's just flat out eating them for lunch. Alright, I think that's pretty solid. Pretty safe to say that the Siege Cow is the winner there. Alright, let me know if there's anything you'd like to see.